I could not be more excited to talk about a community that is extremely special, and it's the community of Mozilla, best known for Firefox. But for me, the Mozilla community is really known for the people in the community. So I need to start with one of those people. This is Viking, and this is me getting Viking at San Francisco International Airport. I was extremely happy to pick Viking up, because the first time that I met Viking was about 6 months earlier at another airport. This is in Indonesia, and I was on my way there. I had never met Viking in my life. We'd basically just emailed with each other. And if I could timestamp this slide, it would be November 11th, Sunday, 7 a.m. I just want to underscore the fact that we had never met each other in real life. And Viking was at the airport at 7 in the morning to get me. The reason I was there was for a trip. I went to Indonesia to share a bit about the program that I work on at Mozilla. And Viking, in the months prior, had spent a number of hours planning the trip for me. He rented a car, and this is me with Yofi, another community member there. And we drove all over the place. We went to college campuses. We met the press and bloggers. We held meetups, again, all planned by Viking. And of course, we drank coffee. This was Java, after all, literally. In fact, we ran so hard that this is Viking's wife, who is his total comrade. She was very pregnant at the time. And it was pretty exhausting schedule. See, Viking has a job. He designs websites. He's also a volunteer at his church. He teaches Sunday school. But he committed 3 full days and well in advance did a lot of planning for this trip, just for me. Why did he do it? Why did he do that? Why does he spend 3 to 4 hours every day doing Mozilla stuff? We have to go back in history just a little bit to understand that. So about 8 years ago, the internet was a very, very different place. In fact, if you were on the internet, it was highly likely that you were surfing the web using Internet Explorer. And Internet Explorer was a very different experience. It was kind of dicey. There were lots of pop-up windows, there was spam, there was phishing. It was kind of scary. But if you recall, they held about 98% market share. They had basically crushed Netscape and became the dominant player and the main window to get access to the web. And a number of people didn't like that. In fact, this was about the time that Viking himself got involved with the web. As a result, Microsoft didn't really do a whole lot to keep it good. I mean, they had 98% market share, so it was a kind of scary place to be. But people had a vision for something different. Viking, many others. So this is an ad taken out in 2004, and it illustrates not only the frustration that was happening around the web at the time, but the hope that rose out of that. So a team from Mozilla built a new browser called Firefox, and they put an appeal out to the community, the number of people that wanted a better web. And they said, we want to launch this product. We want to take an ad out in the New York Times, but we need your help. So the plan was to take 1 full page out in the New York Times. They actually got so much response from the community that they took out 2 full-page ads in the New York Times. It was a $200,000 ad in 2004, and the names on every single person that donated to the ad were part of the ad, and so you can't quite see. But somebody here today is in this ad. I met John Conrad, who is a Morro Bay resident, and he is a community member for Mozilla, so can you... Yeah. How cool is that? So the community rallied. 2 years later, some students at Oregon State University saw an oat field and thought, So they spent an entire weekend and built a whole crop circle, 220 feet diameter, and it's now quite an icon for Mozilla. The icon has lived on in many edible forms, large and small, human forms, and of course, global forms. Foxay is Japan's incarnation. This is Foxmosa of Taiwan. Of course, we have GFox in China. And then we have Dali, who is the Filipino community, very strong Mozilla community, is representing with Dali. But then, how could I neglect the cutest Kumi mascot ever in Indonesia? In fact, Indonesians are so passionate about Firefox and what it means to them that they have one for every region in Indonesia. So Firefox truly, truly is a global community. It's rich and diverse, not only in geography, but in skill sets and talents. So the community, in addition to rallying around things like marketing, codes. It actually builds what Firefox is. In fact, 40% of Firefox's code is built by community members. Over 1,000 people actively contribute to Firefox, whether it's testing the code, localizing the code. Actually, 97% of all the globe's languages are covered. They're localized. Over 85 languages are localized, largely by volunteers. We have students across 65 campuses around the world that represent the Mozilla community. So it's a super special place. But then the question is why? How did this community get so mobilized? Why do people like Viking spend 3 to 4 hours every day on this important project, I believe? And I think, well, there's other ways they do it, by the way, which I forgot to share. I just briefly want to share not only why they do it, but what else. So Sumo is actually a support website that community members also do. So they actually contribute and provide answers to questions that people have. And 500,000 people every day actually go to the Sumo site. Bugzilla, the little guy on the left, Bugzilla is a platform that was originally developed for people to file issues and complaints that they had and get them resolved. But it's such a widely used platform that in addition to Mozilla, NASA uses it. So hey, Curiosity rover, use Bugzilla. The Red Hat projects use it. The Linux kernel project uses it. Actually, 400,000 people around the world actually use Bugzilla. Mozilla reps are people like Viking that go out and represent Mozilla to their various communities in the country that they live in. And then we've got a whole web maker project that helps people actually get tools and knowledge and ability and resource to actually build on the open web. So Firefox is really just one iteration and one incarnation of what Mozilla is doing. And by the way, people like Viking are so empowered that one rep actually felt like there was a huge gaping hole in the global nature of Mozilla and decided that Antarctica really needed to have a Mozilla community. So now there is an official community in Antarctica, and we are across every continent. But it goes back to my point about why a community like Mozilla's is so engaged and so motivated. And I think the most important reason is that Mozilla and Firefox were revolutionary. Firefox wasn't just a different browser at a time when the world needed a different browser. It was a way better browser. It had things like tabs. It had pop-up window blocking. It totally changed the way that people surf the web. It was a radically different way and a different alternative. So to get a strong community rallying behind what you're doing, you've got to do something radically different. You've got to do something revolutionary. That's probably one of the most important points. Secondly, part of the vibrancy and the health of the Mozilla community comes from the fact that the people at Mozilla were not control freaks. They couldn't be. The community is Mozilla, and the voices and the perspectives of the community are everything that makes Mozilla what it is today. And this means letting go of control. In fact, I love the story that I heard about one of the CEOs at Mozilla who said that he could not make a feature request. He had to go to Bugzilla and file a bug, just like everybody else. So it's all about letting go of control and letting the community take charge, just like we heard about a little bit in another talk too. The community has a life of its own, and it becomes what you're about. You've also got to provide different ways to plug people into the community. So when you're working on a project day in, day out, you sort of have your agenda, but you've got to be open to other perspectives and skill sets and ways for people to get involved. You've got to be creative. Come up with different channels, different ways. Maybe there's some needs for marketing, communications, writing. It's not just coding that needs to happen to make Mozilla a successful project. There's lots of tasks to do. So come up with those ideas and throw them out there to the community. People will rise to the occasion. Just make the needs known. And then oversharing. It feels like oversharing. When you're working on something, you want to communicate to your community. But you've got to remember that your community is everywhere. They're in different time zones. They're on different channels of communication. So share something, post it on a wiki, tweet it, email it, repeat. Do it again. It feels like extra effort, but the rewards of building a vibrant and healthy community far outweigh any sense of work that it takes to actually communicate with them. So overshare. And really, really important is to remember that your community truly is what you are. It's not just a market. It can be a buzzword today to use the word community as basically somebody that you're just trying to sell your stuff to. This is our community. But a healthy community, a vibrant community, is one that pushes back, that has a real voice, that has authority. And that's when really magic stuff happens. And it's the kind of stuff that lets small nonprofits like Mozilla be the David to the Goliath of multi-billion-dollar corporations. Thanks.